Welcome to Regulated and Relational, a bi-monthly podcast brought to you by the Attachment and Trauma Network. In today's episode, Julie and Ginger talk with Miss Chang, a teacher, a mother, a wife, and a digital content creator with over 4 million followers. And she's the keynote speaker at our 9th annual Creating Trauma-Sensitive Schools Conference in Dallas, Texas on June 28th and 29th, 2026. Let's join them.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Regulated and Relational, our podcast produced by the Attachment and Trauma Network. I'm Ginger Healy.
And I'm Julie Beem.
And we're excited to share with you from both our personal experiences and our professional knowledge what it truly means to be attachment-focused, trauma-informed, and how we can help children impacted by early childhood trauma. Today, we have an amazing special guest in the studio with us. Many of you probably already know her, specifically know her as Miss Chang, the internet sensation who's creating quite a buzz in educator circles worldwide. What you may not know is that Ms. Chang is joining us at our 9th annual Creating Trauma-Sensitive Schools Conference.
Woo! The crowd goes wild.
And that will be held in Dallas, Texas in June. So welcome, Ms. Chang.
Yay.
Thank you so much for having me. I cannot wait to come to Dallas and meet all the folks and hug all the folks and just share my energy and my love for what we do.
Awesome.
We cannot wait either.
Awesome.
Julie, will you tell everybody a little bit more about?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let me give you the creds, right? The background. Here it comes. She lives in Atlanta, which is a great place to live since I'm there too. And has been a classroom teacher for over 20 years and has a digital content following of 3.5 million viewers across TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And spending time with Ms. Chang isn't just viewing the latest trend. She has motivational talks about gifted education, inclusion, and creative thinking. And she advocates radical kindness, inspiration, and laughter. So you're starting to understand why she fits so well into our conference, because she also talks about things like innovation and curiosity. And regular listeners to this podcast already know that we're huge fans of kindness, curiosity, and laughter. And hugs too. Apparently we're going to get hugs in Dallas. So that'll be great. Known as the lesbian Ms. Rogers, she refers to her approach to equality and inclusion as soft activism. And she says something that her grandma used to say, and my grandma used to say this too: you can attract more bees with honey. I think that's a grandma thing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Her activism has got her invited to the White House twice with 30 other influencers on LGBTQ plus issues. She's an international speaker. She has 10 years of experience in gifted education and 3 masters, one in teaching English to speaker. 3.
I know, yeah. Right? Look, I didn't want to get a PhD. I'm still trying to trade them in for 1 PhD so I can be Dr. Chang. Apparently, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work like Monopoly, right? You can't just trade up.
Right? It's weird how I have 3. It's a whole story.
That's going to be a whole story, because one of them is English to speakers of other languages. One of them is in college administration, and one in applied linguistics. Wow. But more importantly, wherever she goes, there's a room full of laughter, a Wheels on the Bus dance party, and a feeling of sanctuary. And we're so happy to have you with us today. And we're counting on that Wheels on the Bus dance party in Dallas.
We'll see what I can do.
So tell us, though, we always want to know, especially with somebody who's got such a diverse background as you have, how did you get here to where you are right now? Like what was your journey that got you to become a teacher of gifted students, and then also pick up the social media microphone and get going?
Right. I'll start first with the teacher part, because that was I did not want to be a teacher. I had zero interest in being a teacher at all. I have an undergraduate degree in outdoor recreation and leisure studies,
Okay.
which it was so much fun. So I played for 4 years. And I was gonna like move out west and hike, and then I realized maybe I should get a job. And so I started working in residence life at my college.
Okay.
And that's what my dean came to me and she's like, if you enjoy this, you're really good at it. You should get a degree in university administration. So college student affairs administration, basically all the stuff at colleges that's not being a professor. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, cool. So I did that. And I worked at the University of Georgia for 8 years in residence life and academic affairs. And I got bored. And so I'm not lying. This is so true. And so I got another master's. This is how I started collecting master's degrees in applied linguistics
Wow.
because it
Love it.
was free for me to get a degree because I was at Georgia.
Right. Okay.
And I was going to be cool. I was going to move to Tokyo or Madrid and teach English. I mean, I can't make this is all in my book. It's so real. And then I fell in love. That relationship did not work out, by the way. And so I didn't move to Tokyo or Madrid. And then I was like, oh no, I got this degree. What can I do with it? And I was like, maybe I could start teaching. Well, then Georgia was like, you're not qualified to teach. You're qualified to teach the teachers linguistics who are wanting to get their ESOL endorsement, but
Mm.
you're not qualified to teach. So that's when I got my third master's with a focus on ESOL and teaching and started teaching high school, then kindergarten. And when I went into kindergarten teaching ESOL, I was at a dual language school. I fell in love with
Mm.
the enthusiasm of young children and just their just drive and their thirst for knowledge and learning and growing. And that's when I was like, I think I was meant to do this.
Mm.
And then it just kind of all unfolded from there.
Oh, well, we think
And
you're meant to do it too. Watching you on social media, we can't imagine you not being an elementary age.
Yeah.
And then Gifted started. So I wasn't happy at that school with admit. I quit my first two teaching jobs. I quit my first one after a year, my second one after 2 years, only because my mom told me I should stay one more year because I'll never get a job because principals will be suspicious of why I keep quitting. And she's like, you need to be more strategic. Find a good school that's a good fit for you, a school where the administration aligns with how you want to teach.
Mm.
She said, not only do I think you will be good at teaching, I think you have potential to thrive. And
Mm.
then she also told me not to burn any bridges when I left that second school. But that was the moment in the conversation when I decided not to take my mom's advice.
Mm.
Because when I burned that bridge, that thing was charred down to the ground.
Oh,
It was
Oh no.
bad. I mean, let's just say like no references at all from that school. But I became more strategic trying to find a school that I felt like it was a good fit for me. And I've been at my school going on 20 years.
Wow.
And
oh
I
wow.
get bored really easy, typical neurodivergent person. I did general ed, did that for a while, got bored. Second grade, did that for a while, got bored. And that's when I got gifted certified, and I have not gotten bored since.
Yeah, those kids will
I
keep you
found
hopping.
my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand them, you feel them, you get it. I mean, that's what I,
We nerd out in there, and it is so much. We are unique and different and quirky, and it is fabulous.
That's
fabulous.
so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what happens next with this social media thing?
Oh yeah, I didn't even answer that part. Okay, this part starts out a little bit sad. During my I lost both of my parents
Mm.
in a month apart right before COVID.
Okay.
So
Oh,
my mom passed away in February of 2020, and then like 3 or 4 weeks later, my dad passed away. And before anybody asked, my mom hated my dad. It was not one of those, oh, I lost. They were divorced since I
Mm.
was a kid. It was just
Mm.
coincidental, as one could imagine. Oh, and then the governor of Georgia, like 2 weeks later, was like, guess what, Georgia? There's this little pandemic. The world shut down. Go
Right.
home. And I was sad.
Mm.
And one day, near the election being called, like in November, my wife was on TikTok and she was just laughing. I was like, what are you laughing at? She's like, these TikToks are hilarious. So I started watching with her and it was like cats and stuff. And I was like, wow, people are so creative. And I
Mm-hmm.
found myself laughing. And then I was like, I'm going to download that app. So I did. And I stumbled upon a teacher and it had a hashtag teacher talk. I was like, well, that's weird. Like, who wants to watch teachers on these watch cat videos. And then I saw another one and another one, and I was like, "Well, that person's got 5 million followers." Okay. Next thing I know, I made a couple of TikToks. 6 months later, I had a manager and 200,000 followers. And for the past, I've been doing it now for a little over 5 years. I've
Yeah.
written, and all because of that, I've become an international speaker. Now my book's coming out. I just wrote a book, and I'm an influencer. I hate that word. It's because,
Hmm.
but it is true. I mean, I
Yeah.
do brand deals, and I have like managers and reps and publicists, and it's just been wild
Yeah.
and
And
humbling to like when queer kids like in Arkansas started messaging me, and I never message them back because I don't want to like message with children.
Right.
But when they tell me stuff like, wow, it's so cool to see a queer person just, and for lack of a better word, living a normal life. I was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, am I the representation? What? That I never
Yeah.
had? Yeah, so it's just been humbling, exciting, but also humbling.
Yeah.
That's how I
so
got here.
amazing. And you're still in the classroom. I think that some may have gone, well, and now I'm out of there, but no, you are still there.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
love that.
a lot of teachers, and I'm friends. When you become like well known on social media, we're all connected. We're all friends, pretty much. I've met a lot of them in real life. A lot do quit
Hmm.
because,
Mhm.
and I get it because I get paid decently as a teacher in Atlanta compared to some of my colleagues. Like this woman posted, I think she's in somewhere in the Midwest, and my salary compared to hers was just, it's almost embarrassing.
Mm.
So I can see how some of these educators, when they're like had this opportunity to advance their career and do something else, I can
Mhm.
get it, but at the same time, I get paid decently and I still like it. And being in gifted, my school, it's a charter school. They give me more flexibility, and I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I like it.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
still like it.
Yeah.
Some days,
Let's be honest.
I mean,
Well,
it's like any job, I have my days where I'm like, oh my gosh,
well,
maybe
and
more
you're
people should book me
busy
to.
because if you're doing both of these things simultaneously, that's a lot.
Yeah, and people ask me that, how do you speak and do this? We get 5 personal days a year, so I use those very strategically. I book like one weekend I spoke in California in Santa Cruz. I literally taught all day on Friday, flew to California Friday night, spoke on Saturday, flew home on Sunday, and taught on Monday.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and then like I said, we get 5 personal days that I typically use for talks. And like some teachers will go on cruises or Paris or whatever, and I do mine for talks.
For talks. Right.
Yep.
Right. Well, and you have a family, right? You have,
That's
Yep.
and half the time I schlepped them with me. They went to California, the whole family, and
I
they
love
love it.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna. Well, they'll come. I'm speaking in Dallas twice this summer.
Okay.
Is your event at the Gaylord?
No, ours is at the Hill and
Anatole.
Anatole. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I
Yeah.
know that they always check out the hotel, whatever hotel they, and they haven't been to
Well,
Dallas, so I know they're gonna go to one of the Dallases.
tell
And
them we have a water park and it's included in the
oh,
fee.
see, that'll be yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
then
they could
some
float the lazy river.
right, somebody from ooh, it's Lazy River. Somebody from Alaska reached out to me today, and my wife was like, "Northern Lights, I did a rod, we're in." I was like, "Well, let's see
No,
if we can make it
I love
work."
the social media you do with her and all the Christmas lights and the way she decorates. Yeah, I highly recommend if people are looking for, just because there's just so much
Yeah.
authenticity and love there. I mean, you could just see it.
I tell people
Well,
we're about 85% real. What you get is what you see. A lot of influencers, you can tell it's so scripted and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And we try to be genuine. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to share if we have a conflict or a spat. I'm not going to put that online. And there's a
Right,
lot I don't share. Anytime my kids have any kind of performance, I don't share any of that online. You know,
right.
my son plays the harp. Could you imagine your mom posting your harp concert? She has over 4 million followers,
Yeah,
right? And
I
you're
mean,
12 years old. Even when he asked me to, I'm like, absolutely not. You know?
you can see the bigger picture.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But
That would just,
I want to say, as a mom of queer kids, thank you,
Oh,
because
I love hearing that.
it really makes a difference.
Right. And
hmm.
that's what I want folks to see. A lot of people think, and I'm not judging how anybody chooses to share their platform. But the whole you can attract more bees with honey. Um, so many people have gotten in my comments and told me I've never met a gay person.
Mm.
I don't necessarily, I don't want to say like gay people. I believe in your lifestyle is what they say, and I'm kind of like, But they tell me they're like, wow, you've kind of normalized. You just you're like you're like me and my husband.
Yeah.
You're trying to go through the drive-through. Kids are in the back interrupting the video, and it's just life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
life. We
It's
Yeah.
just
are
real.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I think that leads me into asking you to talk about radical kindness, what it means, why it's important. I don't think we can talk about it enough.
What I like about radical kindness, it helps me not come across as like toxic positivity.
Mm,
And I
Mm.
don't
Good point.
want what I share to come across as toxic positivity. Like, why aren't you smiling? You should be smiling. Because some days
Mhm.
are bad, some days are hard. But like, I have a friend, Gary Brooks, he's an influencer, and he talks
Mhm.
about, okay,
oh, yeah.
okay, a good example right now is the airports are a mess
They are.
because TSA agents are not getting paid right now. And so, as you could imagine, people are frustrated. And he's like, when you're frustrated with that TSA agent or the gay agent, that is somebody's baby. That's somebody's child.
Mhm.
And so I try, like, I'm human, but at the same time, it's like when a kid is getting on my nerves, and they do because I'm human, when they
Mhm.
mouth off or they say something that I don't like, and some days I don't have the perfect answer or the perfect response, but I'm like, that is somebody's baby. Somebody loves that child just like I want somebody to love my child. My own kids will
Mhm.
get on my nerves, and I'm like, gosh, I hope their teachers can handle this better than I can
Mhm.
because we're human. And so I
Mhm.
just want people to know that radical kindness isn't necessarily a fake smile. Like, 'cause, 'cause I was raised as a Southerner. Make sure you smile and say
Yeah.
hi. And then they
Yeah.
walk off and you talk about them behind their back.
Right. Bless your heart.
Bless
Yeah.
your heart. But
Yep.
no, it's like radical kindness means we're messing up. We have good days, we have bad days, but we also are like inclusive and accepting and just regardless of our differences and seeing those differences and recognizing them, but just celebrating them, if you will, even if you don't
Yes.
understand them.
Yeah. Difference is not less.
No, not
Mhm.
Dif-
at all.
Difference is difference. And
Right. And I
yeah.
want people to see color and I want people to see queerness. Like when people say, "Oh, I don't see color." I'm like, "Well, I hope you do because people have, people of color or queer people have different lived experiences in
Right.
this country,
Right.
and I can't live as a
Amen.
black man. I will never know what that experience is
Exactly.
like, but I can listen to like a lot of my black male colleagues and the experiences they have and be open to like, wow, I didn't see it from that point of view, you know?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm 53 years old and I'm still unlearning stuff that I had learned. And
Mhm.
so when people say, "Oh, my grandma says that because she's old," that's not an excuse. I mean, if your grandma's 95 and she has dementia and she's, doesn't have, you're never too old to unlearn stuff.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. As long as you're
The radical
curious
part is
and
starting to
willing to
come out.
learn, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
talk to us about the differences that you see. You talk a lot about what it was like when you were a kid and the teacher that you needed to have. But what do you see are the differences between what students are facing now versus what you or I or Ginger faced when we were young?
One thing I feel so bad for these kids these days. I tell my students, y'all are so fortunate to have so much access to information. It is so cool. In
Mhm.
your pocket, you can get AI or any kind of answer, and that
Mhm.
is so exciting and so cool. But on the flip side, because you have access to so much information 24 hours a day, it is daunting.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
when I grew up, I had to deal with bullying from time to time a lot of times because I was queer and I had a disability. I have a spina bifida, so I was supposed to be
Mm,
paralyzed from the waist down, and I had like pee in my pants when I was a kid, and so bullying was tough.
that's
But when
tough.
I got home, it was done. pretty much. These kids now, they don't get to escape it. I mean, they have access to potential bullying 24/7. Even if they're not on social media, even if like I tell my kids, no, you can't be on Snapchat, you can't be on TikTok, that can't stop another kid taking a picture of my kid and posting it and then him hearing about it the next day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so the kids just cannot escape that. I was in another interview and they asked me what would I not want my kids to have access to, and it's going to sound funny coming from a short video content creator, but it's short form content, like TikTok and Reels and YouTube Shorts. It's just so fast and so much that it's really hard for them to just escape being inundated with stuff.
With stuff that is just negative and
even
harmful.
teachers, and I found myself falling into this. So after the pandemic, we got back in school and I was like, yay, Chromebooks, this is so cool, all these apps, and this is so neat. And then this past year, I was like, wow. Now when we do like center time, I'm like, anything but a Chromebook. I'm trying to dial that back and trying to unlearn some of that as a teacher and not rely on tech, because we're a STEAM school, so we're all about technology. But I'm trying to like give my second graders like, okay, y'all, we're gonna cut out. We made leprechaun traps for St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, nice.
Sounds fun. Wouldn't that have been so cool? They can't even cut, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was shocked at some of the occupational stuff that these kids didn't come. That was just tough for these kids because they just haven't been doing
They
it.
haven't been doing that. Right.
And these aren't pandemic kids. These are second graders.
Yeah.
Right. These are kids who've been in school the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Things have changed. It's different. And I remember worrying about my son's handwriting, and he had dysgraphia, and they did an occupational therapy eval and went, he's not going to actually need to have handwriting anyway because and so
use a computer.
But it took me I just sat there I couldn't even digest that information. It's not a problem because he's not going to need that skill. And I went,
right. Even now when I sign documents, like when I e-sign documents, I just insert a fake signature.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just like, wow, I'm not even having to sign things anymore.
Right. But there's so much to creating things with your hands. I mean, it as somebody who did all the outdoor play, but there's so much to the sensory and tactileness of doing all of those things.
Absolutely.
That's so soothing to your brain. And I mean, it hits you differently.
Yeah, for sure.
And being outside, I mean, just the healthy healing parts of nature. And we're just doing a lot less of that as well. It's different. You've talked about the difference of the kids. You've also hit on the differences of being a teacher now versus years ago.
Right. The fact that states are having to implement laws to not take away recess.
Yes.
It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, to not understand how much children learn by playing and doing.
Right. And I'm not saying kids don't deserve consequences from time to time, that we need to reflect and talk about choices that we make. Absolutely. But sometimes I'm going to take away your recess because you were talking while I was teaching. I'm like, come on, there's got to be something better we can do.
Yeah.
We know there's something better. Kids need breaks. They need movement. They need sunlight. That they won't learn the same. I mean, but we're still butting up against some of those thought patterns that
it's
aren't
that
aligned.
whole, this is how I was raised and I turned out fine. And I'm like, no, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Did you?
Did you really turn out fine?
Not sure.
You're at the pub every Friday night.
Yeah, you're coping, but
yeah. I love that. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, there's so much more for us to talk about. We're going to talk about what Ms. Chang's work relates to trauma. We're going to talk about her book. I'm sure we're going to find some other fun things to talk about. So we'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. You do not want to miss our 2026 Creating Trauma Sensitive Schools Conference, June 27th through the 29th in Dallas, Texas. As usual, it is chock full of amazing workshops and expert presenters. Our opening general session will be led by Julie Beem, ATN's longtime executive director, who's retiring this year, along with a special appearance by Dr. Mona Delahook. And get this, Miss Chang, the wise and funny teacher of gifted students and internet sensation, will lead our closing session on Monday, June 29th. Bring your whole family because the Hilton Anatole has a water park, or leave them at home to make this time just to rejuvenate yourself. You can find out more at conference.attachedtrauma.org.
Okay, so we're back with Jere Chang, an Atlanta gifted teacher and an influencer. She hates that word. She
It is what it is.
Yeah, but she shouldn't hate that word, because she's influencing educators across the country and around the world with through social media and also through speaking at conferences. And we're delighted to have her coming to our conference in June. You know,
I can't wait.
I appreciate, and I think we've talked about this in the interview earlier, I was drawn to you because everything seems to be so authentic in what you did. And we know, Ginger and I talk a lot about authenticity comes from being vulnerable, which means that you're brave. You know, like you have to be able to put yourself out there. Did this feel like you were putting yourself out there? Did it feel like a brave step? And how did you how did you get so brave to do this?
This is a very pivotal moment. So I have spina bifida, and I was supposed to be paralyzed from the waist down, and a surgeon did surgery on me when I was 6 years old, obviously, and I'm able-bodied now. But because of that, I have what's called a neurogenic bladder. Basically, my bladder is paralyzed, and so I have to use a catheter. And so I was more closeted about my spina bifida than I was coming out as a lesbian right after college. I ne- I didn't come out with spina bifida officially, I guess if you will, until social media.
Okay.
Wow.
I know, and it's crazy. And I saw some TikToks about like teachers, and it was middle and high school teachers about kids going to the bathroom. And I get it. Kids, they'll sneak to the bathroom and shenanigans, whatever, and clog the toilets. Like, I get it. And I'm sure for middle school and high school teachers, it's even worse, the stuff that they're doing than elementary school kids. But I was like, wow, we're really gatekeeping the bathrooms. Like, there's got to be a better solution. So on a whim, unscripted, I literally made a TikTok. This was probably like 4 years ago, and I'm holding one of my catheters in a little wrapper, and I was like, teachers, let kids go to the bathroom. And I explained that I have spina bifida, and I said, I know y'all are gonna be like, I know my students, they have a 504, and if they need to go to the bathroom, I can see it in the 504. And I'm like, do you? Do you? Because I begged my mom. I didn't have a 504 because I begged my mom not to have a 504 because I wanted to be normal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And even if you do know your students, do you really? And so I made this video. It went viral. And so many people in the comments, I had never in my life, I had met one person with spina bifida.
Wow.
And it was a former colleague's husband.
Okay.
And this video went viral, and so many people in these comments going, I have spina bifida. Oh my gosh, my kid has spina bifida. Wow, you have spina bifida? And I was like, yes. And I was like, all of a sudden, I was this like low-key poster child for the people with spina bifida.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, wow. And talk about representation. And then I was like, wow. And then I had to go back to school, and I'm like, oh my God, now all my colleagues know that I have to use a catheter. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. Like, everybody knows this now. And it's so weird because I share so much of my life online like that. And there's a lot I don't share. But then I forget that people I know in real life also watch my content. And that was weird for me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wow, I just told millions of people this. And now I've met several people with spina bifida. I've met so many parents with kids who showed them my videos. And that was a reputation that like it was really cool to, because like I said, my entire childhood, I had never met one person with spina bifida. Like I had zero representation of what that meant, and I just kept it hidden because I was embarrassed by it.
What
I used to hide
encouragement,
I used
though.
to I used to hide catheters. This was so God, what's the word? Like non-sterile. I would reuse them, which is
Mm,
like
Wow.
deadly. I would hide them in my socks so people wouldn't know.
wouldn't know because you
Yeah,
were,
and
yeah.
it was crazy. All through college, dating people, like, and when I would start dating people, like, let's say the relationship lasted more than like a year or whatever, like college relationships, I would have to like build up the nerve to like come out about my disability because I could only
Hmm.
hide catheters so much when you start like, spending the weekend with each other.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. But
Yeah.
you've broken a barrier for so many other people with spina bifida, and now you've got children who can imagine themselves in
Yeah.
careers and as teachers and things that they might not have been able to visualize
I
before.
was when I present at conferences, usually when I'm done, I'll do a meet and greet, and it'll just be tons of people wanting to say hey and take pictures and hug and do whatever. And I was at one last year. I think it was in Austin, and this woman comes up. She's in a wheelchair. A lot of people who have spina bifida use a
Right.
wheelchair. She's like a
Right.
partial wheelchair user. And so she's next, and she and her friend come over. She stands up and she's like, I have spina bifida. And I almost started crying. That was the most
Mm,
moved I had ever been. And we just embraced, and it was very emotional for me. And I was like, wow, if I had not been on social media, I never would have met this woman, you
right.
know? And it was
Right.
just, wow, it was just, like I said, that's the part that's so humbling is getting to meet people in real life that have seen my content and was like related to me in some way. And that was just
Mm-hmm.
really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That's
Well, and
And
I
she's a
want to
teacher
say,
too. That was cool.
oh,
oh
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
so full circle. And
Hmm.
I think there's even more implications than spina bifida because we're gatekeeping bathrooms. And I know of kids that are struggling with gender issues that don't want to use certain
Yep, yep.
bathrooms. And I've had
We
to
have
go to,
that. Yeah, we have
Mhm.
that at my school. We're dealing with like bathroom issues, and there's so many laws right now
Mm-hmm.
in
Yes.
Georgia. This came up at my school, and there's no official law on the books about bathroom, but most of the laws trend towards non-trans and
Mm-hmm.
more
yeah.
cis-presenting people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really unfortunate. I mean,
Yeah.
even my own son, he plays the harp, and he had to stay after school, and they had like change in the school in the
Hmm.
locker room, and he doesn't
Yep.
play sports, and it was his first locker room experience. He afterwards he's like, that was traumatizing. I will never do that again. I was like, did something happen? He's like, no. But he just because he's in sixth grade and there were like eighth graders and stuff in there.
Yeah.
He
Just
was like, it
having
was
other kids
horrible.
around changing
Yeah.
clothes. Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, that is weird, having to
Mm-hmm.
change around people you don't know very well.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
yeah,
So
It
I think
definitely.
just talking about it and the reasons behind what we're doing
Yeah.
right,
and and not just having this bias of assuming that somebody is doing something for a
right,
reason. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
right.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like, if you really want to keep kids safe, we got to think about like non-binary kids and trans kids as well. Like, a lot of that's why there's suicide lines for these kids.
Exactly. It's such a
Kids,
mental health issue. It really
right.
is.
For absolutely 100%. And
uh,
I've taught trans kids in elementary school. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I've had family members say to me, my mom, she's like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And I was like, what do you need to get?
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to get it
yeah,
for
Right.
you not to have compassion for somebody else?
yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Compassion and just what is it going to hurt to believe that you
Right.
have a need that I can
Yeah.
support you
Right.
in?
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is this, like I told my mom, I was like, I'm not even gonna try to convince you to believe or think differently. But you can at least have compassion for a child who
Yeah,
wants to live their life.
Exactly.
Even if you don't get it, you don't need to get it. And that's
no,
okay.
Exactly.
no,
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's as simple as I mean, I'm not neurodivergent, and but yet
Right.
I I can have compassion and
For
understanding, and
sure.
and there might be things about being neurodivergent that I don't get, but
Right.
why do I need to, right?
Right.
It's
yeah,
like,
no,
Well, that's
no,
like,
we
when
can,
I teach kids with ASD, like I had a kid, this kid, and he had to practice his social skills a lot.
yes.
And sometimes he would come across what I would describe sometimes as rude,
Mhm.
just as, I was like, ah, and he would
Yeah.
get under my
Super
skin. And I
direct.
know he couldn't help it. And so my go-to to him was always, I love this kid. I was like, do you want me to match your energy? I say, no, Miss Chang, I don't. And I'm like, if you know that you don't want me to match your energy, can you try to change it a little bit? And he'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, Miss Chang, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I'm like, that's all I can ask,
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I
yeah.
love
That,
right?
I love
that's
that.
great.
Right.
My
That's
two
great.
kids that are autistic, I really had to not assume tone of voice. And
Yes.
I mean, that's where for a long time I was like, that felt rude, but let me
Right.
check
Yeah. Let me
because
unpack
I
that a
know that
little.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
love me.
And
So I,
sometimes I would ask this kid, I'd be like, okay, this is how I heard you say it. Tell me what you meant.
yes.
Hmm.
And when he was like, well, I just wanted you to clarify this. I'm like, okay,
Okay.
because that's not what I heard.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
heard that you were saying I suck.
Yeah. 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 We
And he's
got,
like, no, no,
yeah.
no, I'm not saying you're suck. You're just wrong, and you're not
That's
as smart as
right.
me.
You're just wrong.
Oh,
I
we could
love
talk.
them. I
That's
love
so
them.
good. Okay. Well, I wanted to get to this piece about how here at ATN, we come at it through this lens of being trauma informed and attachment focused. We talk about those strategies. You're not necessarily using those same words or vernacular, but you do focus on things that we consider very much aligned: belonging, curiosity, resilience. And so I want you to talk to us about like the importance of cultivating those things in our students and the kids that we care for.
I live it, and don't misunderstand me when I say like I've studied a lot of theory, and I totally believe and respect the researchers who are out there doing the work, doing the hard research, crunching the numbers to give us theoretical based practices. 100%. But what some people need to read in theory, I just try to live. I
Mm,
don't, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily a guidebook. It's not a list of things I need to practice in my classroom. And I will say, I'm just going to be honest, I think it comes a little bit naturally for marginalized people. And I wish I could
That's
say
great.
all
Mhm.
marginalized people, but that's not the case because I know so many like queer people who are racist. And I'm just like,
Mm. Yeah.
how why?
Yeah.
Or people of color who are homophobic. And I'm like, you don't have to be on a big gay float saying go gay people, but like you don't have to be homophobic. Like you know what this stuff
Right.
feels like.
Yeah.
So me checking off a couple of those boxes with my disability and my gayness, I know what it feels like. I know what
Hmm.
it feels like to be treated poorly, to be bullied, to be judged for things that I cannot control, and I'm just simply trying to live my life. And so when I see other kids who are people who are different from me, even if I don't get it, I'm like, I may not get them, but I know what it feels like. So I do think it comes naturally for me. And for those people that it doesn't, because some people, they don't face as much adversity, if you will, with who they
Right.
are, whether they're a cis man, whether they're, a cis white woman or whatever, or just, they grew up in an area where they just didn't feel that.
Hmm.
yeah.
You can probably think of a time where you didn't feel included. And if
Hmm.
you haven't, like, traveling is one. When I go to a country and I don't speak the language,
Right.
I feel so dumb, for lack of a better word. Just they're like that'll be 50,000 yen, and I'm like, I don't know what yen are. Like, how do I do this? How do I can't speak Japanese
Hmm.
or whatever. And then I think about people who immigrate here trying to navigate a whole life and not just being here tour, like, oh, I want to
Exactly.
see, touristy things, and just I think it makes it easier for me to come naturally because I've experienced it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And my advice to people who don't is just to try to think of a situation where maybe you have. Like you go travel, and I'm not talking about an all-inclusive resort where everybody's speaking English. I'm talking about, and if you can't do that, just any kind of situation where it's hard for you
Right.
Mm.
to
Middle
navigate.
school.
Middle school,
Middle school. It's hard
you
for
know?
everyone. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think anybody can think about a time when life was hard. You were
Hmm.
going through something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to talk to us about your book because I know we'll have copies
Yay! Buy
available
my
for
book.
folks. So,
It's so funny. I did a presentation. We have Steam Day, and our theme this year was fashion. So I was talking about what I wear when I do, like if I'm speaking in New York at a very formal conference, I had on a suit versus a more whimsical, fun conference and being a teacher. So I was talking about fashion, and I was talking about being an author, and I had a photo shoot, and I had my little like fake picture, and how I was trying to find a picture that if you look at it, you're like, wow, that woman looks honest and trustworthy. And so I did this presentation for all fourth grade classes, and I said to every class, what do I want people to do to my book? And they were all like, read it. And I was like, no, I just want them to buy it.
I don't even care if they read.
That.
Yeah, they were cracking up. And now they were like, Miss J. And I was like, no. So honestly, about 4 years ago, Wiley's, who published it, they came to me. They said, do you want to write a book? I said, oh my God, absolutely not. That is the worst idea ever. I don't want to write a book. And close that phone call. And my wife, she was actually in the room with me when I was on the Zoom. And she's like, do you know how many people would die to have a publisher reach out to them and say, do you want to write? She's like, that conversation was 5 minutes. I was like, I don't want to write a book. And so I started speaking. And people were like, you really should write a book. It just gives you more credibility. You have a good story to tell. And I was like, maybe one day. Well, lo and behold, Wiley again, it was a different person, reached out to me. I know, right? And they're like, do you want to write a book? And I was like, yes, I do. It's a 2-part book. I would even call the first part almost autobiographical, not completely, but I share my disdain for school. I hated school. I grew up in the same school. I mean, my parents graduated from my school. My mom did.
Wow.
My mom was homecoming queen. My sister was homecoming queen. And I was weird. My sister still holds records for basketball at this school, and we're like really old now. And I changed schools my senior year because I hated that school so much. And these were people that I went to church with, grew up with, and I had jaw surgery. My mom said, no, you can't change schools. That's ridiculous. And the summer before my senior year, I had jaw surgery. I was in the hospital for like 4 days. And I had met these kids at a different high school that in an adjacent community in Hall County. And when my second day in the hospital, the first day I was out of ICU, this gaggle of kids come in my hospital room with balloons, and my mom's like, you're not in the right room, because she knew everybody in my hometown because it was a small town. And they're like, and I couldn't talk. My mouth was wired shut, and I'm trying to write on my little chalkboard, these are my new friends at this new school that I want to go to. And so they left, whatever. When I got home, my mom came to me crying, and she's like, you can change schools. And I said, why? Like, why now? Like, school's starting in 2 weeks. She goes, because not one person from our church, not one teacher, not one friend, not one person in our community called or checked on you when you were in the hospital for 4 days. These random kids that you met 2 months ago came, and they spent their whole Saturday with you, and you couldn't even talk.
Couldn't talk.
Go to the new school. And it was life-changing. So, I met this, and then I had that one teacher, took AP English, and that's when I started liking school. Hated school, And then I haphazardly ended up in teaching, and I hated teaching. Like I said, I quit my first 2 jobs. I felt like I was being micromanaged. I felt like I was, had just so much to share, and it was just like put down. And finally found the right school. So the first half is about me struggling with school and education and this everything that I was dealing with personally to thriving. And then the second part of the book is strategies. How do I thrive? How do I survive? From using humor correctly in the class. I don't say correctly, I'll say effectively or wisely, intentionally. From using humor, work-life balance, just finding joy, celebrating the kids, just all the stories. And it's just more strategies on how to survive teaching. So it's a cool book. So even if you aren't a teacher, it's just, to me, it's just a fun book to read. Writing it was a pain in the butt, but those editors were getting on my nerves. Oh my God.
Now you're not sure if you want to be an author or not.
I knew those editors. I was like, oh my God, they're going to earn their paycheck, because when I start writing, I write like and I have 3 master's degrees. I can do academic writing and stuff, but every time when they came back, I think it was like the 3rd editor who does all the grammar. She had a lot of comments. I was like, approve, 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 approve.
I don't need to like make sure. I was
like, I hope she knows what she's doing because I approved all the semicolons and dashes and whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, however she wants it punctuated, good for her.
I'm sure she's right. I'm sure she's right.
Yeah, you know, it was a process. It really was, but I'm so glad I did it. And I'm nervous about it being published because there's stuff I tell and that people like that I grew up with, they're probably going to be like, and I'm, you know, is this about me? And yeah, you probably think this song is about you.
Yeah.
Don't you?
And like, don't read it if you don't want to know. But I'm glad I got it out there, and I hope people can resonate with it and enjoy it.
Well, we're excited to be some of the first folks to get to look at that when we're with you in June. So that's
I can't wait. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and we'll attach that to our show notes and everything else that we can.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Well, I do have one final question.
Okay.
Very serious.
Yeah. Have you picked the shoes and socks that you're going to wear for our conference?
Oh, hold on a second. Can I walk away from the camera for like 10
Sure.
We're hoping socks, not anything else.
Yes, right? She might have already picked them.
Okay,
if you haven't watched Miss Chang and her shoes and socks, it's worth the trip.
Oh,
I love it. Oh,
okay.
The green. You know, we have a teal green for all of our ATN stuff.
Yeah, so these are both Charlotte Stone shoes. I've yet to get a deal from her, by the way. Charlotte, you need to give me a deal. Whenever I'm doing a fun conference, I have, I love loafers. I definitely have some solid colored plain loafers, but I do love a fun loafer.
They're great.
Like
Either one of those
touch of color, and these I think this is a good summer.
Yeah,
shoe.
It really is.
Yeah. Right.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well,
awesome.
Gosh,
so what's the energy? What's the energy like at this conference? Because I know trauma can be a very serious subject.
It is a very serious subject,
as it should be.
That's why the teachers the folks that show up, the educators are ready to feel some love and joy. Okay. And there's a lot of connective tissue between these folks.
Yeah, it's
for sure.
I can really only describe it as magical
because
it's like you're connecting with people who get it.
Yep.
And you feel so validated and that you're not alone, because this work, as you can imagine, can get lonely. And so to be with like-minded, mission-aligned people who are just on this path together, it's magical.
It is.
Not to spoil my talk, but that's literally part of my talk. How do I survive teaching? By surrounding myself with educators who understand the hard work that goes into this. Because I can say these two words, and this is actually part of my talk, spoiler alert, teacher tired. And anybody in education, I can just say those two words and you automatically know. You get me, you relate to me, whether you're in social work, whether you're in occupational therapy, whether you're a pre-K teacher, AP physics, you understand what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
I love that.
We do. And we are going to be there waiting for you. And it'll be here soon.
I can't wait.
Well, it'll be at the end of the school year and there's a lazy river involved. And so I'm just hoping that teacher tired gets to just relax a little.
Regulate in the lazy river. Heck yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Well, Jere, thank you so much for this conversation this afternoon. It just makes us all the more excited for June to get here and for us to get to be with you and celebrate the teachers. It's so important.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing y'all in June.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Is it too late to get tickets?
It is absolutely not.
Yeah, Dallas, y'all better be there.
You better be there.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Regulated and Relational. In our next episode, join Ginger and Tracy as they speak with Lisa Regal about the hard truth about soft skills. A special thanks to Joe Kramer for donating the music. To learn more about the Attachment and Trauma Network, visit us at www.attachedtrauma.org. I'm Lauren Cassis, and as always, thank you for listening.